Well, the bells of the university have gone off, so it must be time for Higher Ed Live. Welcome. Good evening, everyone. I'm Debra Goldentyer. I'm one of the two guest hosts for this evening's edition of Higher Ed Live, the weekly web show for marketing and web professionals. Tune in to Higher Ed Live on Thursday nights at 4 p.m. Pacific Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Time on higheredlive.com, and join in the conversation on Twitter using the hashtag HigherEdLive. And you can follow me at dgoldentyer. Before I introduce my co-host as well as tonight's guests, I'd like to give a few shout-outs to our sponsors. OmniUpdate is the leading web content management system provider for higher education. The company's web CMS, OU Campus, is secure and scalable with great tools and features, deployment, flexibility, and an awesome user community. Are you at PSU Web 13 right now? If you are, visit OmniUpdate's booth. Plus, see Donna Tallarico tomorrow at 4 p.m. discussing social media engagement on campus. Higher Ed Live is sponsored by Integral, the creators of the Schools app, a private Facebook community to boost enrollment and retention. Check out their blog, Integral Insights, for posts on admissions marketing, student engagement, and social media in higher education. We're tweeting the link out to the blog now. On to the show. My name is Debra Goldentyer. I'm a senior manager for online marketing at the Haas School of Business at the University of California, Berkeley. What that means is I oversee the website and the social media for the business school. My co-host is Nathan Gerber from Utah Valley University. Nathan, can you introduce yourself?
You bet. Thank you, Debra. Hi, everyone. My name is Nathan Gerber, Director of Web Development Services here at Utah Valley University. I've been involved with the web here since about 1999, so I've been around a little bit. And ever since then, I haven't had a slow day at work, as I'm sure many of you can relate. I work on the IT side of the house, maintaining our public web system, our CMS, and all of the trainings and content reviews for all of our content contributors across campus. We have a partner department in marketing that assists us in design, content, layout, those types of things. And between our two areas, we take care of all things web here at UVU. I was actually very excited to be asked to be part of the planning and implementation of the first HighEd Web West conference, and I'm really looking forward to sharing my experience with all of you today.
Thanks, Nathan. Tonight's show is a recap of HighEd Web West, the first ever HighEd Web Regional Conference west of Arkansas. Now, we in the West have nothing against the colonies back east, but it's about time that you share the wealth, and we did just that this week. HighEd Web is a grassroots organization, which is unique in that it is by higher ed professionals for higher ed professionals. While HighEd Web has been around about 10 or 12 years, it's never had any activity in the West until this week. This week was the first Western Regional. And based on the turnout and the enthusiasm and the endless questions about where will this be happening next year, it is clearly not the last Western Regional. Let's introduce our guests. Nathan, who do we have here today?
Well, we have a great, spectacular group of folks who attended our conference. First, we have Sherry Lehman, Interactive Marketing Specialist for Chapman University. We also have Vanessa Schuler, Web Content Manager at St. Martin's University. And finally, we have Leanne Dufarina, Digital Communication Specialist at Boise State University. So Sherry, Vanessa, and Leanne, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourselves?
Hi, everybody. My name is Sherry Lehman. It's only fitting to introduce myself that way. I am Chapman University's first social media specialist. I'm part of a fairly new marketing department called Strategic Marketing and Communications, and I'm a proud member of our web and interactive marketing team.
Hi, everybody. I'm Vanessa Schuler. I am the web content manager for St. Martin's University in Lacey, Washington. We're a small Catholic Benedictine university, which is why the bells were just going off and everyone heard them. I'm actually new to higher ed. I've been a business owner, web designer, developer, contractor, for about 20-25 years, and I'm now at St. Martin's for a year. My colleague Carl Liu was on the planning committee for the event, and between he and I and a group of really fantastic students, we do everything here that has to be done on the web.
Hi, my name is Leanne Dufarina. I am LA Dufarina on Twitter. I am a digital communications specialist here at Boise State University. I have part of that role is social media management, digital policies and guidelines, and web content for our main university website and gateway pages. And I've been handling social media for brands for the past decade, and I'm really excited. This is my first year in higher ed, so I'm glad to be here, and I'm an alumni of Boise State, so it's really quite an honor.
Thank you all for joining us tonight. Sherry, I'd like to start with you. You were not only a presenter at Monday's conference, you were also a key member of our committee, and you and Chapman were our host. Why did you get involved in this project? Sherry?
Oh,
My supervisor, David May, and I got your email. Sorry, everybody. It went automatically on mute. We got your email, and it was right after Milwaukee at the Nationals, and I'd have to say we were pretty bitten by the bug. We came home with a lot of ideas. We felt inspired and energized, and it was only suiting that we provided that to more people on the West Coast. So we answered your call, and we put Chapman's name in the bag to be chosen because Chapman really always gets excited about being a part of things, especially the higher education community. We wanted everyone to see our beautiful campus and hopefully be a nice central location.
Well, thanks. We couldn't have done it without you. Vanessa, this was your first time at this conference.
Yeah.
What made you choose Higher Ed Web?
Carl Liu. Carl actually is an incredibly avid fan of Higher Ed Web and the organization. And so that was something that I heard when I first got here was you are going to the regional conference and you are going to the national conference. And it was a good choice for him to have me do that. As far as the conference goes, I've been to lots of conferences over my career, and this was a lovely bathing in ideas. I think it was like a spa for my brain.
Nice, I like that. Leanne, why did you come?
You know, this was actually, I had never heard of higher ed before. I do have to admit that. Fortunately, my colleague, Terry Williams, who's our university web manager, she told me about it, I think just the day before the early bird registration had run out. So it was our ability to get budget approval and the fact that it was in Southern California, so it wasn't a terribly far distance from Boise State to be able to attend. And I was really looking forward to meeting peers in higher ed who were also taking care of social media and things like that.
Well, I'm pleased to hear that. The reason we had this conference in the West was not only to share the wealth with the conference that's been happening in the East all these years, but to let you all know about the great conferences that are going on, and hopefully have you come to Buffalo. Nathan, you were on our committee and you were the program chair. How did you choose the programs from the great selection that we got?
well, Debra, that's actually a very good question. We had a lot of fantastic proposals submitted, and it was quite a difficult task to go through them and choose between them and fill the program. I think one of the things we did was we tried to choose the proposals that would give us the best possible, broadest range of topics. Something where a lot of different things were covered. It wasn't all focused in one or two different areas, and would also give the best takeaways for the attendees. So as we reviewed all of the different types of proposals that were given, we were able to fill the program with the things that really were the most pertinent to people in higher education at this time on the web, the up-and-coming things that people have a lot of questions on. We were also able to fit in a few additional presentations into the program by offering what we called lightning rounds. We had a lot of proposals that we thought we could put together that were similar in topic, and they could actually bring the group together and give different perspectives of that. So we had these 15-minute presentations back to back in a 45-minute session, all focusing on a certain topic. So, we had two of these. One was a lightning round on responsive and mobile, and then another lightning round that was about social media. So between those two, we were able to actually fit in a lot more presenters and ideas and perspectives on similar topics. We had some really good feedback about how the attendees enjoyed these quick glance approaches to the different topics and how they could see the three different perspectives without having to go to 3 full-size presentations. Overall, the program was very successful. We had a lot of really good feedback about the different presentations, things like that, and everyone really enjoyed the sessions and the learning. So that's how we took on the task of putting together the program.
That's great.
Vanessa, a question for you. How did you like the lightning rounds, and which ones did you attend?
I attended the responsive web lightning rounds, and they were terrific. Everybody that spoke, actually Nathan was one of the presenters, and I got a really great takeaway from him. The most difficult thing about the lightning rounds was that I'm not a fast tweeter, so I didn't tweet at all through them. I just had to pay attention and listen. But I think that both Nathan and Logan spoke about something that was very, very relevant for me, which was to stand in a different place around responsive web, because I think as a designer, when I'm thinking about responsive web and I'm thinking about how the layout shifts and changes, but I had remarkably never actually thought about how the content has to adapt. And so, Nathan, you came up with that great phrase of content choreography, of working with your constituency and going back and forth with how things can be done or how things should be done based on the technology with how they need things to be done. So it was a great rethinking of how to approach content.
Great, thank you, Vanessa.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Sherry, which was your favorite session and why?
Well, my favorite session was the social media lightning round, but for one that I actually got to go to and enjoy myself, aside from my leadership duties, was Peter's session on project management. First of all, he was an extremely engaging speaker with audience involvement. He had them do some role play, kind of to see what is a boss's role versus an employee's role, and maybe the communication disconnects. He talked about freshbooks.com, which is a really cool tool to monitor the types of tasks, how many tasks, what you're working on, and how long they take. And he said just really keeping track of your time can help with communication barriers and start with good communication skills in the first place. So tapping into that emotional intelligence. And I think sometimes we do get so technically and digitally focused in our job that we forget about the camaraderie and the project management side of things. So I thought it was a really useful presentation and great things to take away.
Fantastic. I agree. That was great sessions, Sherry. Leanne, which session did you enjoy the most at the conference?
You know, I found a lot of value in Chapman News social media API session. It was exactly the type of information that I came to the conference looking for. So being able to learn that, see what other people are doing who had the same challenges as we have here at Boise State, and to learn about the new opportunities that they were sharing in their slides was really valuable. Sherry, if you don't mind sharing your team members' names, they did a great job in the presentation, and then the information that they were sharing was just great.
Yeah, that was Ben Cole and Megan Farrington, and they've really taken a lot of leadership over this platform called social.chapman and taking it on to the next step.
Great. Well, it was definitely something that I was looking for. I have been working, we have over 300 social media accounts branching out of Boise State University. And those are the active ones. We have several that are dead in the water. So to be able to see what another university has done to bring the storytelling into one area and one platform was just fantastic to see.
Great, thank you, Leanne. I also found that to be a very interesting session. We're up against the same thing as I'm sure everybody is. We're looking forward to doing further connection with Ben and Megan. I think they did a great job in their presentation. Vanessa, another question for you. Did you have a favorite session? What was the key takeaway for that session?
I did. Brendan Sparks gave a terrific talk on using game theory to deal with the chaos that we experience in the workplace and how we can look at the variety of game possibilities of win-win situations versus win-lose situations, and playing games such as what was it again? What was the Streets of Catan? Is that what it was? Yeah, and I found it very interesting. He was talking about the difference between American games, which are really win-win oriented and zero-sum oriented, and looking towards more collaborative games, to play them, to become better at them, so that you can learn in your working environment how to work with your team in a way that is going to be affirming for everybody, so that everyone is successful and that the project moves forward because everyone is on the same page. So how to deal with complex personalities, and how to, I think ultimately, how to work with yourself so that you are improving yourself, so that when you are, how you show up for your team is always growing and always changing, so that that we're serving the project, we're serving the movement, the forward movement of whatever part of the project we're working on.
Yeah, I loved that session. I thought it was great that he actually offered the game as a giveaway. So that was an awesome, great move, and everybody seemed to enjoy that. So
yeah,
That's funny, yeah.
yeah, thanks, Vanessa.
Yep.
Sherry, a question for you. We had a couple social events and opportunities to network with colleagues from other schools. Did you enjoy that, and did you get anything from that?
Always. That's always one of my favorite parts, because that really takes the presentation outside of the presentation room and into actual conversations between others. And I always find that to be really rewarding, and to actually ask ourselves, what does that look like for us? At this conference, because I had to be somewhat mobile, being the host at Chapman, a lot of my networking happened online via Twitter with attendees, and there's nothing like face-to-face interactions, but I do think that Twitter is such an amazing communication tool, because I still felt like I got to network and connect, although I was running around.
That's great. Leanne, do you think the conference was of value? Are you planning to attend in coming years?
I do think that it was a value from, looking at it from the ground up. Our plane tickets were less expensive than attending one that was further away, say the East Coast. And considering the time of year that it was, it fit right into our budget, and to be using up some of the loose ends that we had in our budget during the end of the fiscal year. The hotel that we stayed at was fabulous. The little town of Orange is just the most friendly place I think I've ever been in California. So the value was wonderful. And what I tell folks here on campus when I'm trying to explain social media analytics to them is that to rely on the qualitative data and not the quantitative. So the connections that I made and the lessons that I learned, by far, the cost of money that we put towards it was really nothing in comparison.
It's nice to hear. I'm glad. Nathan, we chose as a keynote speaker Tony Dunn. Who is he, and why did we choose him?
Well, I actually didn't know Tony very well before we started reviewing different keynote options, but I was really impressed with what I learned about him, and I think that's a lot of what he's done in higher ed in the years he's been there, I think it lent a lot of credibility to what he brought to the table as a keynote. Tony, to give a little bit of background on Tony, Tony's been in higher education in the IT world since about 1987. So for most of us, that's a long time. And so he has a lot of history with higher ed and the world that it brings. And he's also a bit of a celebrity in the web world in higher ed because of his well-known cartoon series, Tales from Redesign Land. Hilarious stuff, and probably more hilarious because it's right on. It's really a comical look at the higher ed web world that we live in and the challenges we face and things like that. So Tony's just fantastic. I got to know him through the process, got to interact with him quite a bit, and he tells it like it is. And what's more important, I mean, I know a lot of people that tell it like it is, but he does it with a smile on his face and a real kind of a humor about it, which is great. It makes consuming that information a little easier. And he did a great job on our keynote and really hit the mark on many of the issues that we are dealing with in our industry at this time with resources the way they are and things like that. And he's currently involved now with kind of the IT planning and project management at CSU Chico. So he's adjusted his role a little bit, but he did a phenomenal job. So a little bit more information about Tony is that where I first saw or heard of him was in the National HighEd Web Conference in 2010 in Cincinnati. He did a presentation called, the title is "Maybe the Purpose of Our Redesign is Only to Serve as a Warning to Others," which I thought was a great catchy title. And by the way, ended up being a red stapler presentation, if anyone understands what that is. It's at HighEd Web, each presenter goes through their presentations and then they're given rankings, and then the last day the top presentations are repeated. So they're called red stapler presentations, and he was chosen in that track because it was really spot on. It was great. We were impressed with his conversation style, how down to earth he was, and how in the midst of all the humor, the hype, and everything else going on in high ed with web stuff right now, he was able to deliver a relevant, valuable message of insight and also of clarity when working within the high ed web space. So he did a great job, and I truly don't think we can thank Tony enough. So a little shout out to Tony Dunn, fantastic presentation. Thank you so much for everything. He added great value to our conference. Thanks, Tony.
That's great.
Another question for you, Sherry. Were you also, let's see, you were also a presenter at the conference. I should know that. I helped put the program together. And how was it presenting at the first HighEd Web West Regional?
Oh, I have a lot of fun. I am a bit of an extrovert, so presenting, I always get quite a thrill presenting, especially sharing ideas in hopes that someone else takes it away and gets inspired. But I will say this one was challenging. It was much more difficult putting together a 15-minute presentation than a 45-minute one, or at least I found it to be that way. I really had to focus, try and stay on track, and deliver the message that I really wanted to deliver. But I had a really great time, and I just love that all the slides are up there on speaker deck to live forever. So hopefully my message continues to live on, and people take lots of it away.
Fantastic. You did a great job. Thank you.
Thanks.
Leanne, I know we had a bunch of vendors there. Did you talk to any of the vendors and find it very helpful at all?
You know, I didn't really go to the conference looking for any services or anything quite like that. I did talk to a couple of vendors. One of the vendors, we actually currently do use their service here at Boise State, Site Improve. And so it was nice to be able to touch base with them one-on-one because, you know, we've never actually had them here on campus before. So it was nice to be able to make a connection with a real-life person. And other than that, if I ever was in need of a CRM type tool or something like that, I would definitely look into the ones that were at this conference. They all seem very friendly and very easy to work with.
Vanessa, did you talk to any of the vendors?
Yes, I spoke with I don't know how to pronounce it, Nginx, a little bit about their content management system, and looked into the possibility of setting up a demo with them. We want to move to a content management system, and we've looked at several of the vendors that were there previously and had demos with them, so I wanted to move forward with that.
Great, excellent.
Mm-hmm.
And for those of you who traveled to Southern California, how was the trip? I hear there were fireworks one night.
We
didn't see Mickey.
Didn't see Mickey.
We worked very hard to put those together.
Having the conference a day right before the TEDx conference was actually another reason that we decided to come to Southern California. I've always wanted to go to a TEDx and see how that is produced. Should we ever have one up here in Boise State? And I had never been to Disneyland before, and I got to go finally. So it was wonderful. The weather was beautiful. It couldn't have been any better.
Sherry, if we come back down to Orange anytime, is there something we should do next time?
We should definitely go to downtown Disney. We love the ESPN zone. The whole block is just great. Second story is all games. We can rent it out. So that would be my suggestion, or heading over to Newport Beach, which is about 10 minutes away from Chapman. You really can't go wrong. 15 minutes in any direction, you're going to hit something great. So, don't count Chapman out again in the future.
Sherry, I just saw that Rainn Wilson was one of the speakers at a commencement ceremony or recently some type of ceremony there at Chapman. Mm-hmm. That's really cool. Do you guys get a lot of maybe celebrity interaction and things like that?
We do. We get a fair amount of people from LA or the San Diego area coming up to give guest lectures or to be keynote speakers or commencement speakers. So yeah, I guess we have to recruit some celebrities the next time we have HighEd Web West down here.
Maybe so. That was pretty neat.
And look, the planning for the conference begins already, just like that.
Well, I have to say that from Boise State and the two of us that were able to attend the conference at Chapman University, we were really excited to hear that the next national in 2014 will actually be in Portland, Oregon.
That's true. In fact, one of the reasons we wanted to have the regional here was to let people know that we are going to be having the next one in 2014 in Portland. So who's going to go to the Portland HighEd Web National Conference?
Oh, yeah.
Hoping so.
Put a bird on it.
Yeah, I think it was really interesting, Deb, when I was talking to Carl about the number of people that came to the regional conference that are new to HighEd Web, that didn't have an experience of it before, and I think what you guys did by putting it on was a real service to the entire West Coast, for all those people that just had no idea that the organization was even out there. So thanks for doing that, because I think it's opening up a doorway for folks to be able to interact with others in the profession.
Right, and I think it's also important because our country is there's a little bit of a rift, I think, maybe in our country, where some of the challenges that we're facing here on the West they might not see on the East Coast, and vice versa.
Yeah, I would add to that. I think a lot of times our resources are short in all higher ed institutions, but one of the things I like about this type of a conference is it gives us an opportunity to send people that wouldn't regularly get to go. I've got even some part-time positions that are hourly positions that we just can't afford to send them to conferences when there's thousands of dollars involved in travel and stay and everything. And so getting it closer, getting it a little cheaper, and getting it more intimate in a smaller group really gives them an opportunity to learn and experience things that they might not be able to, and raise and help our team in more ways than one.
One of the things I've always liked about HighEd Web is that there's a real mix of people from different areas within higher ed. Some of the people are real marketing folks, others are real IT folks, and we do talk to each other, possibly more than we do in the workplace, to share notes and to learn from each other, and I think that's a really valuable piece of it all.
Yeah, that's an interesting experience for me coming from the private sector. And a lot of conferences that I've been to have been around technicians, because it's all the developers that are working on building the applications. And so to see this mix up is really nice. This mixing up of different professions is really great, because you really do get a more rounded sense of what it takes to actually produce something on the internet.
I would also say that I also enjoyed that our program included basically 2 project management type sessions, because it speaks to that well-roundedness of a team and just the variety of individuals. And in higher ed, I feel a lot of us have to wear many hats. So I thought that was great to tap into, whether it's game theory or it's project management tools, just to make it a cohesive overall, web strategy and web project.
Yeah, I really appreciated the project management tools, because I've been, as a part of what I've been focusing on here, and I think that we all have to deal with this, the fact that we're the people that are doing the development or doing the design, doing the technical work, but then we also have to be the project managers as well, especially when you're in a 2-man shop. It's imperative, and so getting more tools for that is very helpful.
And we had fresh oranges.
We did. Organic.
Picked by hand by 2 members of the committee and washed by the same.
And I have an orange right here.
Oh, I have one of those too. Yeah.
Not so fresh and not so organic.
But really good for working out the fingers and
There
keeping
you
your
go.
hands not just formed into a mouse position.
That is good. Any other parting comments?
Just wanted to say I hope that everyone feels like it was a very successful conference, and kudos and a big round of applause for all the volunteers and for everyone who put it on. It was really wonderful.
Yes. Thank you very much.
That's great. Okay, for our viewers, join us next Thursday night on Higher Ed Live as Transablocky recaps the SUNY Quad conference that's happening this